Hello, and welcome to English 545 Literature for Adolescents. Since we will be having these online conversations at different moments in time, let us first introduce ourselves to one another. That way, even though we will be temporarily out of sync, we can at least match face to name and get to know each other a little bit. I am asking you to record your answers to these questions as a video and then post the video here. And yes, I will answer all of these questions too. I'll ask and I'll offer my own answer to them. So, first, what's your name? And what do you prefer to be called? I am Philip Nell, and please call me Professor Nell. Thank you. Second, where are you from? And where are you located now while you're taking this class? I grew up north of Boston, Massachusetts, and north of New Haven, Connecticut. I lived for 4 years in Rochester, New York, where I went to college at the University of Rochester. And then after that, I lived for another 6 years in Nashville, Tennessee. I got my MA and my PhD in English from Vanderbilt University. And next, I taught there for a year. And then I taught for 2 years at the College of Charleston in Charleston, South Carolina. But for the last 18 years, I have been here at Kansas State University. That's where I have been. So in some senses, I am from all of these places. Although I think I still identify as a New Englander, I guess, at base. While you are taking this class, while I am teaching this class, I am not here in Manhattan, Kansas. I am recording this in Manhattan, Kansas. But as you're watching this, I am probably not in Manhattan, Kansas. Don't let that confuse you. This fall, I will be in Munich, Germany, at the Internationale Jugendbibliothek, or the International Youth Library, on a fellowship, doing research. And that is where I will be for most of the semester, as you and I interact online. So this footage, right now, of Kansas State University, in the heat of summer, when I'm recording this, is not where I am. So you'll have to use your imagination. But that's where I'll be for the semester. I will be also in a few other places during the semester, but mostly there. I have some talks to give in different places, but I'll mostly be in Munich. So that's my answer to the second question. I promised I'd answer these questions, and now I've answered 2 of them. So far, so good. And third, here are our course's objectives. Listen to them, because at the end I will ask you which of our course objectives you're most looking forward to, and which objective do you think will be the most challenging for you. So, this class will introduce you to a range of literature for adolescents. And it will develop your critical skills in reading and thinking about these works. We will study works that feature adolescent characters that depict experiences familiar to adolescents and are taught to or read by adolescents. We will approach these works from a variety of critical perspectives, perspectives that many high schools want their teachers to know. So in short, this course will be about different kinds of literature read by young adults, and approaches to thinking about this literature, and at its base, about adolescence's relationship to power. We'll develop these skills via writing a once-weekly journal, participating in online class discussions, taking a weekly quiz, and completing these and any other assignments on time, please. So, Now that you know the course objectives, which of those course objectives are you looking forward to meeting? And which objectives do you think will be the most challenging for you? And while we're on the subject, do you have any other objectives? You might have objectives that I didn't mention. And if so, now is your time to mention those. Okay, my answer. Well, I wrote those course objectives, so that's clearly an answer. The only other thing I would add is that I like to do the best possible job in translating an in-person class into an online class. I have taught this class before in person, but I change it each time I do it. There are, for example, four books in this iteration of the class that I have never taught before. Those are this one, Melinda Lowe's Ash. Never taught this one before. And then there are three books from 2017, just from last year. I haven't taught those before either. Those are The Marrow Thieves and Ibi Zobboi's American Street and KSUBN's Book of the Year, The Hate You Give. So, those are the new books for me in this class, this semester, and those are my additional objectives in this, my first time teaching this class online, although my second time teaching a class online. Fourth, your adolescence is quite likely far more recent than mine, and yet I know, and you know, that high school and college are different, and that you have likely changed at least a little since high school, and quite possibly a lot. So my fourth question is this. Describe your adolescence in one word. And why do you choose that one word to describe your adolescence? The why is important. So if I were to describe my own adolescence in a word, that word would be insecure. I remember feeling crushingly insecure as an adolescent, and that affected everything, from relationships to performance in school, and so as a result, I do not look back on my adolescence with nostalgia. But I do look back. I am recording this video after my 30th high school reunion, which was interesting. And yeah, when I look back on adolescence, I'm really grateful to have survived it. And I'm glad that I made a few friends in the process. And I'm glad that I don't have to go through it again. But I think everyone's adolescents have certain features in common and certain features that are not. And so that's why I have asked you this question. And I look forward to seeing your responses. Fifth, have you taken an online class before? I have taught an online class before, in the spring term, actually. And let me give you a piece of advice that I could not have given you then, but I can give you now. Online classes require you as students to be a self-starter. They really require you to commit. So if you are not a self-starter, now is the time to develop that skill. I set up our points of engagement across the semester so that they are due at the same time each week. Discussions are on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and some Fridays. You'll notice there are some Fridays at the beginning of the term. Journals are due Sunday night. The quiz goes live Friday and is available until Monday. So just make an appointment with yourself on the same days each week, right? Mark your calendar. 11 p.m., Tuesdays, Thursdays, some Fridays, Sundays, Mondays. That is when things are due. If you do that, you will succeed, or you have a much higher chance of succeeding than if you do not do that, I guess would be the better way to put that. But that was the issue that I noticed last semester. I noticed people who were good at showing up, who were good at making the commitment, They were great. In fact, they were outstanding. But then some people weren't. And those people had some problems. And so I don't want you to have problems. And that is why I am passing on this piece of advice to you now, which I could not have passed on to you last semester because I hadn't taught online before. So, for what it's worth. Oh, and one last thing. The first novel that we are reading is also the hardest novel that we are reading this semester, or you might find it the hardest novel reading this semester, I don't know. It's also the oldest novel that we're reading, and that is, of course, this one, J.D. Salinger's Catcher in the Rye. So, my advice to you is start reading it now. And to help you get started, here are a couple of questions that you should keep in mind as you read. So right on page 1 of the book, Holden tells us, and I quote, "I had to come out here and take it easy." Well, where's here? From where is he narrating the story? Second, and you may already know this, but if you don't, Holden Caulfield is the classic unreliable narrator. And here, courtesy of the late M.H. Abrams, is the classic definition of the unreliable narrator. Unreliable narrator. Say that 10 times fast. Actually don't, but here's M.H. Abrams' definition. The fallible or unreliable narrator is one whose perception, interpretation, and evaluation of the matters that he or she narrates do not coincide with the implicit opinions and norms manifested by the author, which the author expects the alert reader, that would be you, to share. So, what makes old Holden Caulfield unreliable? Track his unreliability as you read, and make note of a few examples. We'll talk about that next class. That is all for the moment. If you have any questions, please ask. And I look forward to working with you this semester and to our next class discussion. That's all for now. Bye.